Thank you everyone for joining this class. Thank you for the introduction, everyone. Dean Dobson, it's good to see everyone again. It's been a while. I think the last time I was on campus was for the Taste of Cal Poly 2018, maybe. So it's been a while. But yes, I do work at Disney. Hopefully I'll be recalled back soon because I do miss the bread, I miss the guests and everything. But Valentine's Day is coming up, and personally, I don't like getting flowers because they just sit there, they look pretty for a couple days and then they die. And I'd rather eat something. So we're doing two bouquets today. So one is the 3D version, and then one is which is a little simpler as the 2D version. To start, we're gonna do the 2D version first, which you're gonna need a 12-inch or larger cake board, which you're gonna be using in its diagonal form. And you'll need two colors of buttercream, so green for the stems. And then I'm using pink just because that's my favorite color for the actual rosette. So first things first, when you set up your piping bag, you want to start small and get bigger if you need to. Once you cut the hole off the tip of your piping bag to put the tip in, if it's too big, you got to start over. So if that tip falls out, you got to get a whole new piping bag. So start small and then keep trimming if you need to. For today's cupcakes, we are using piping tip 1M, which is also known as the open star. I don't know if you guys can really see it, but it's commonly known as piping tip 1M if you're getting a Wilton one or just an open star. For the 2D version, you're gonna need 7 cupcakes. So I'm gonna do mine upside down. So you need 7 standard size cupcakes. You're gonna start with 1 in the middle and put 6 around it. So it looks like a little cluster of roses, like a little bouquet.
Emma, I think Will is slowing down here. He's still getting his stuff set up, right?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
I also have a dumb question on how do you put it? You just drop it in the bag, or how does this work?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a little bit of an intro for that one because.
Okay, let me get a bag that I didn't set up yet.
Thank you. Thank you, Selena. I appreciate that.
Oh my gosh, it's been so long since I've seen you.
I know, it's been a while. Hello.
Right, so here's the piping bag, right? So you want to use the bigger one for your colored frosting because you're going to use it for both the 2D and the 3D. So when you have the little one right here, you want to cut the tip. I mean, when you have the big one, sorry, you want to cut the tip off, but you don't want to cut it like too big to where you think you need it. So start like a little smaller, about 1.5 inches up, or maybe 1 inch. You cut it off and you just drop the tip in.
The big one?
What was that? The big one for your color for the roses.
Got it.
Cool. And I love your chef coat.
There's this whole story involved with it, but we won't talk about it now. Leah also has one, and so does Diana.
Dude,
nice.
We went on a little field trip to Disney. I think it was 2015.
Uh-huh.
That sound right?
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Yeah,
we got to go
July 2015, I think.
Huh?
July, I think it was July 2015.
Yeah. We got to go to Disney's pastry school with their pastry chefs. And it was awesome. And then they fed us at Carthay Circle, and then we got VIP access to the front of all the rides we wanted. and then we got VIP access to World of Color. So we were like VIP'd all day. It was really fun.
That's awesome. I don't even get that.
Well, I paid a lot of money for that, by the way.
Okay, got it.
It was an auction item at Hospitality and Court, and it was all of my staff.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay,
Yeah, I took all the staff.
Here's another
fun.
Emma, here's another question. How much frosting do we need? I made the recipe that you gave me, but I don't want to make too much green. Like a cup?
You just need a little bit of green, like 1/4 of a cup of green. That's it. And the rest can be the pink or whatever color you're using for your roses.
That's exciting. So how has it been pivoting to baking at home, Emma? Is it different?
It is a lot different. So like when I had all my Thanksgiving orders, like going from using my industrial size ovens where I can do like 50 different things at a time to like my little oven, it was kind of like, oh, okay. Like it definitely took a lot more time than I was used to, but it all got done. It's okay. I do miss work though. Like I miss just, I don't know, I miss the bread, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. And like I noticed a lot of chefs working from home. They're telling me like, oh, I had to buy an oven thermometer that I've never needed, like for my home
Yeah,
oven.
because you're not sure. Like our ovens get calibrated so often, like they're on it. And then especially like my oven is gas, so there's hot spots in there. So I have like 3 different ones to see to make sure that it stays like constant. But yeah, I totally get it. Like it's rough going from like industrials back to home cooking.
Right.
And the portions I make are huge. Like I can't make for only 2 people.
For like
yeah, it's hard.
Definitely. Did you always have the side business, or was it just because of the pandemic?
I've always had it, but just because I was so busy with judo and work and everything, it was just kind of a weekend only thing. To where now I kind of had to make it. I'm just no longer a side gig anymore. It's like the main thing. So
yeah, that's awesome.
It's been fun. I've been able to do a lot more creative things just because I was bored at the beginning of this whole thing. So that's when I like made my sushi cake and looked like a giant sushi roll. And I was just able to just play around with a lot of things because I had time to do it.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear you're doing well.
Thank you. Yes, it's been a change, but yeah, I'm doing well. I've enjoyed my time off, but I am ready to go back to work.
Ready to go back, yeah. I heard Disney was doing something for like you know how they usually do food and wine? Like they're doing kind of like that kind of a festival, maybe?
They're doing food and wine, and I just saw that Knott's is also doing it, so that's probably why they like picked it up to really get it going. Plus, it's also California Adventure's 20th anniversary.
Oh, is it?
This year was, 2020 was Disneyland's 65th. And so they really wanted to open back in July, but it just didn't happen. And then this year is California Adventure's 20th.
20th, wow. That's crazy. Well, hopefully everything opens up. We'll see.
I know it's been a rough time for the hospitality industry. All of tourism is just taking a hit.
For sure. All of us. Okay. Are they ready? I don't know. Will, are you ready yet? Or no? He's like,
yeah, I'm good.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, okay. So when you pipe your rosettes, you want to start from the middle and work your way out. So if you start in a traditional sense of like whipped cream or something, if you start from the outside, it's going to pile up on itself. So then you'll get that little like pyramid of frosting. So for the rosettes, you want to start from the middle and then work your way out to the edge. That way you'll get that nice rose look. Here, I like to start in the middle just because I don't know why. So start from the middle and then pull out and you'll get a nice little rose. If you guys can see it. Ah, there's lighting. I'll pick it up. So you have like the nice rose and there that didn't get piled up on itself. So from the middle, work your way out.
Can you do it again, but to the camera?
Over here, you can start in the middle and work your way out.
Yeah, mine never look like that when I do it.
Right?
It takes some practice.
How do you like explain like the pressure, like how much to use?
Your piping bag should always be tight. So if you start to feel some slack, go ahead and give it another twist, because that way you maintain even pressure as you're pushing it through. You can feel it. Like if it starts going too fast, then like ease up a little, but you want to make sure that your piping bag stays pretty tight. That way you don't get this weird like you can see the lapse in pressure.
Got it. Do you believe in like the whole zip, you can use a Ziploc bag or you have to use a piping bag?
I've done it in a bind, but you can definitely tell the difference between a regular piping bag versus a Ziploc bag. Like just the whole feel of it, it's almost lopsided because the frosting starts to shoot over to the other side of the square.
God.
So then you get kind of this weird lopsided feel going on. So I don't recommend it. If you have a cake supply store by you, I think individual piping bags are like 20 cents. Yeah. So I don't recommend it, but if you need it in a bind, you can use it. It'll just be a little more difficult.
Cool.
Yeah, the piping bag is so much easier, in my opinion. I did it once with a Ziploc bag. It does go all over the place. So
yeah, like flops all over, and you're just kind of trying to manage it and then keep the pressure. It's difficult.
Emma, yeah. It's like you're squeezing from your right hand and you're just guiding with your left. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, I am. So I squeeze with the right because that's my dominant hand, and I just I can do it with one hand, but just for accuracy, you can just kind of guide it around.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So do you want to talk about your story, how you got into baking?
So my paternal grandmother she was never like a formally trained chef, but when she immigrated here, she did a lot of cooking classes. She got her teaching credentials, and she actually had a cooking class, and it was called Walk Around the World with Ruby because she made everything in a wok. Oh, cool. So from there, I just I guess cooking has always been in my family. My maternal grandmother never cooked. She was like, she just made basic things. But my first layer cake I made with my grandma. And I remember what it was. It was from the Hershey's chocolate cookbook. And it was a chocolate cake with peanut butter frosting. And that was like my first cake that I ever made. I remember like using her stand mixer and everything. And it was just, that's how I got into it. And then it just kind of grew from there.
Got it.
But it's been a journey. It's been fun. Definitely being a TA at RKR boosted my confidence. And then it just kind of pushed me to do new things. Cool. I'm really grateful for that opportunity that I had with my two chefs.
We're doing all 7, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to show my work. This is my, these are my white flowers. Here we go.
Oh, nice.
I love white flowers. So
nice.
That was
crisp white roses.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Have you guys seen those roses? I think they're called like bleeding roses, and it's white, but the tips are red, and it kind of like falls into the petal.
Oh, wow. No, I haven't, but that sounds gorgeous.
My sister actually had them on a corsage when she was in high school, and that's how I first learned about them. I was like, well, that's cool.
I have 25 rose bushes in my backyard, and there are a couple of them are, what do you call it when they're combined?
Like a hybrid?
Draft, do they call it drafted? Anyway, they're like combined, they're grown together, different, and they come up with these different colored roses. So I have one with kind of an orangey, kind of like an orange cream center, and then on the outside it's got all this pink.
How cute!
Yeah, and so yeah, there's some really cool combinations you can get if you know how to work with roses. I can't take credit for that. I have a gardener, but but they're really pretty when you have all those multicolors in one rose.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Sounds beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
Emma, do you like have any recommendations if they wanted to do ombre for the piping, like how to do that?
Yes, so that's actually really it's a lot more simple than you would think. So you would need your piping bag, a paintbrush, and gel food colors. So you don't want to use liquid food color like the ones that you get from like the grocery store that you use for eggs. You don't want to use those ones because it'll just run out of the pastry bag. You use the gel food color and you paint stripes into the pastry bag. So if you're using one, you'd need about 4 to 5 stripes, and then you would put whatever color frosting you would use in it, and then that would create like the ombre look to it.
Oh, that's cool. Sounds really easy too.
Yeah, it's a lot more simple than you would think. I did it with the 3 primary colors one time, and it actually turned out really cool. Because like you have the white, and then it's like a really light color, and then into the deeper color.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's fun.
Awesome.
Like those little illusion frostings. I don't know if you guys have seen them where they airbrush the cake, and every way you turn it, it's a different color.
Oh, no,
It's cool. I mean, I would like an
Those are
airbrush
really
machine,
cool.
but I don't know.
What, Diana?
I've seen those. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah, there's like a video of them just turning
Yeah.
the cake on like a cake wheel, and every which way it's like it'll be like pink and then orange, and then if you go the other way it's like blue and then purple.
What? That's great. Okay, I think you can move on. I don't know,
So we're
Andy.
I'm good. You
Okay.
Okay, so once you do your roses, then you're just gonna pipe the stems onto the board, and then that's pretty much it. So you don't need all 7 stems though. So if you think about it, when you're looking at a bouquet of roses, there could be 12 roses, but you don't see all 12 stems. It'll just look messy if you put all 12. So when you have your green, you want to keep it kind of thin. So the hole that you cut, you don't want to go too far, just because you want to make it about the size of a stem for the roses. So I like to go straight down the middle first, like as if that's the middle one. Straight down the middle, and then I'll pull from the sides and have it meet in the middle. There. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh.
Art.
And then you could use the pink to kind of make a bow, or if you have or your other color to make a bow, or even on the side you would write like Happy Valentine's Day or Happy Mother's Day, whichever. But that's pretty much it for the 2D. So that's why this one was the simple one. The other one has a little bit more steps.
Cool. So the champagne cupcake that you sent us, is that like an original recipe of yours?
Yes. So it started out with when I first was making like just random cupcakes in high school, I would take just cake mixes and replace the water with something. And that's how I stumbled upon the champagne one, because I would like replace the water with like strawberry soda or even like orange soda. And then we got to the champagne, and then I got to that point where I was like, oh, well, I don't want to use box cakes anymore. Like I need to make it my own. So it was a struggle to figure out how to make my just plain vanilla cake into the adapted version of the taste that I wanted and the right color that I needed for it to not have like the yellow from the egg yolk in it. So it's like a nice light pink color. But I also make them like gold for New Year's time. So yeah, it was a process. Like when you build your own recipes, it's always a little bit of a process. There's a lot of there can be a lot of frustration that goes into it. But
right. I bet. I think you can move on to the next one.
So for the 3D, you need the little pot and then the ball. This is a 5-inch pot and a 5-inch styrofoam ball. And I hot glued it in here. That way it's not flopping around, because once you start sticking the cupcakes on, you know, you can't do 2 things at once. So it's going to get heavy on one side. So I glued them into their base. That way they don't move around. For a 5-inch ball, you need about 11 cupcakes. I know my numbers are kind of weird for these ones, but usually I make them bigger. I think the biggest one that I made was actually like a full-size flower pot.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, it was huge. It was like I had to like carry it with 2 hands and everything, but this was like a nice size for like to give as a gift. So for this, you also need toothpicks, green tissue paper that I cut into squares, and then your cupcakes. So the way you kind of build your bouquet, you need about 2 toothpicks per cupcake to keep it on top. So I start from the top and then I'll kind of move it down the sides. Start on the top. And again, we're doing unfrosted cupcakes for now. That way, you're not trying to tiptoe around the frosting and get it like all over your hands. So you just kind of shove it on top. So that's the first one. And then the rest of them, you kind of, the easiest way to do it is to see where you want it. And then put the toothpicks in. And then plop it on top, right there. So we're just gonna do this all the way around the ball. When you get to the toothpicks, the cupcakes that are on the side, it's easier for the toothpicks to kind of go up and down the ball versus side to side. That way it kind of holds it on a little easier.
Is like slamming it like that better so that it sticks, or?
It's just because I used foil cupcake liners.
Dave. So you really have to just like get in there.
Yeah, you kind of, that's why they're unfrosted.
Okay.
If you use paper ones, it'll be a little easier.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't even notice I was doing that.
Oh,
That's funny.
But they won't like fall, because like that's what like my fear is that it's gonna fall.
No, so if you put the toothpicks like going up and down the ball, they'll stay on. If you put them the side to side way, they could slip off, but that's why they're like up and down.
Let me look. Oh, okay. See.
There we go. And I can fit one more on right here.
That's awesome. So what was your favorite part about going to Collins?
My favorite part, it was definitely my time as a TA. I think getting to work with 2 different chefs, it definitely I feel like it gave me an edge on different creativity and different ways that they do things. That was my favorite part. As an alumni, I feel like my favorite part is I love going to the Taste of Cal Poly. Like I did that for like 4 years in a row before it got canceled last year. But it was something that I love doing.
I did 1 year of that on accident too. It wasn't like it was like Neil. She just asked me like, "Hey Celine, what are you doing on this Saturday?" And I'm like, "Nothing. Why?" And she's like, "Oh, just come. Like you'll be our you'll just help hand out like the dishes, right?" And then randomly they gave us the wine to like serve with the food. And so I was like reading the label and like Googling it. And then I was like, okay. And people were like asking me for tasting notes and like what to do. And I was just like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And like just like pouring.
I was gonna say, you gotta fake it till you make it.
Hey, it's the motto.
Ooh, Anne, you're actually looky there.
We see what it looks like once they're frosted.
But yeah, that is a fun event. And then you sign the little board at the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So fun. And now going is a lot of fun too. You gotta enjoy, but I can totally see why they always get mixed up Kellogg West and us. Because like on the little card where you vote, they're like the word is like one word off from how you differentiate the two. So I feel like we should have won a couple years when they won, but that's okay.
We always think that.
Okay, so once your cupcakes are on, you see you have all these like empty spaces, and that's where the tissue paper comes in. So I just like to fold it in half diagonally and kind of have it start hugging into, you can fold in half again. So in half and then in half again, diagonally, and you just kind of start stuffing it between all the cupcakes to fill in that space, and it's gonna kind of look like the greenery that you get, that you see when you buy bouquets.
So you were intentional with the green foil liners then, huh?
I was. That, and I'm working on my St. Patrick's Day menu now that Valentine's is coming and going real fast. So there's a lot of green going on here right now besides the cupcakes.
Diana, are you a baker? Not at all.
I mean, I can read instructions on a box and do a decent job, but
That's where you start. That's okay. That's how it all starts.
I decided I wanted to attempt to pipe icing on some cupcakes one time, and then didn't have a piping bag or tips, so I made my own bag, but I totally failed at making a tip out of anything. I tried plastic. I tried cutting up an aluminum can and trying to like.
Oh my gosh, that is so dangerous.
That's actually really creative though, because I wouldn't have thought of that.
It didn't
do a can.
I got it done, but it didn't work. Like it.
Oh.
Emma, with the tissue paper, are you just how are you pinching it and then putting it on?
Okay, so let me get one square. Hold on, there we go. So I have the one square, and I'm folding it kind of diagonally, like offset.
Okay.
And then folding it in half again. So they're kind of like all jaggedy everywhere, and I'm just sticking it between. There's about, I'm gonna say 3 between each one. So it kind of like, you gotta like almost like overlap them a little bit. So that way they stick in there.
Got it. Thank you.
Ooh, look at Anne. Hers is like looking good.
She's eating all of her creation.
I'm trying to eat some steak and potato before I eat all the cupcakes. before I make it to the cupcakes. Otherwise, I'll just eat cupcakes.
The kids haven't seen it yet.
Oh no, they're eyeing it. Vincent came and licked my frosting bag. So.
How cute.
That's so funny. So Emma, you were on vacation recently. Where did you go?
I went to Mammoth just in time for them to reopen everything up there. I mean, they were open, but because of the stay-at-home order, when I booked my Airbnb, I had to send in this form explaining why I felt my travel was essential. And I felt really bad because I kind of had to lie on the form because it wasn't really essential. So I felt bad about it, but then they opened it, so then I didn't really have a reason to feel bad anymore. But yeah, I went to Mammoth. I recently, because I don't have judo right now, since it's a contact sport, they kind of they got a big no on us to reopen our dojos.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked up skiing, and I did a couple lessons. It was really fun. So I was like, you know what? Like, if I'm gonna be a skier, like I might as well go to a really good place to ski. So that's why I was up in Mammoth to ski. And I'm not gonna lie, as a beginner, even their bunny slopes are pretty intimidating.
Oh my god.
I did struggle. I never went on a bigger run than what was considered beginner, just because it really steep, and being a beginner, it was not that beginner friendly, but I had fun. It was a good trip.
Oh, I'm glad.
How are we getting the tissue to stick on these bigger areas down here?
I'll show you a trick. You can take the toothpick and like push it into the holes of the styrofoam, and it'll actually stick that way. If I should have put this on the thing. If you have like if you were to make this again, you could use a hot glue gun and stick them in. And that's what I do for my bigger ones, just because there's always more space on bigger things. But yeah, so for the little ones, you can just stick them in using the toothpick. It's kind of cool. I don't even remember how I discovered it. But if you just hold it there, and you can use the toothpick to push it into the holes of the styrofoam.
Do you leave the toothpick in?
You can, but sometimes if you like get it right, it'll just stay in its little hole.
Very cool.
When I first started making these, there was a lot of collapsing bouquets just because I wasn't making them right. But they're fun, they're pretty, they're different than just regular flowers.
So technically you could probably use straight pins, right? Like the ones you'd use for sewing.
Yeah, you could.
Like, and leave them there, basically. They're so tiny.
Yeah, they are small. Like as long as they're not in the
those,
cupcake, they'll be fine.
Yeah, it's just this
I don't think you want to leave them in there. I think there's the thing with the you can't put non-food items with food, like the baby and the king's cake. I was talking to BJ earlier, and she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm gonna miss it." This class, she got like her second dose of the vaccine, so she's a little tired. I was like, "That's okay. It's all good. I mean, she can come out and visit us again."
I heard the second one's a little rough.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard too. Okay, so once everything, I miss BJ too. Last time I saw her was at Zach's wedding. So it's been a couple years. Okay, so once all your greenery is put in, then you can pipe your rosettes just like we did with the 2D. Start from the middle and work your way out. And we have our nice little bouquet.
Do you have any tips for like, since they're on the side now?
You kind of got to like get in there with it. Unless you have something to elevate it, like a cake turner. But no, you just gotta get into it. Like sometimes the world of pastry is like you gotta be a little bit of an acrobat with it. For these ones, you want to kind of push your frosting onto it a little more, especially the ones on the side. You want to push it on there, that way it doesn't fall off.
That's so cute.
How's everyone doing? It's quiet.
Looks good.
Looks like it's the hardest part. The frosting.
Huh?
It looks like the frosting's the hardest part.
I know.
So much concentration.
It's like you build up to all of it, and then you're like, no, don't mess it up.
Once this is done, if you are giving it out to someone, I suggest refrigerating it because your buttercream will like kind of suck itself on to the cupcake and become hard, and then it can be transported.
Cool.
Fun little touch. You can add some glitter onto here, make it all shiny.
Would you say this type of like rose is like the easiest thing to pipe?
Yes.
For flowers.
Compared to an actual piped rose where you need like the petal tip. I don't know if you're still there, Celine, when I did the chocolate cake with the espresso rose on top.
I
think
do. I was
left.
there. You taught me how
Oh,
to
you
make
were there?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, piping those, especially when you need a big enough one to fit a cupcake, it can, that means you would need the bigger petal tip. Smaller roses are definitely much easier to pipe than bigger ones when it's the actual petal tip roses.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I showed that to Chef Scott, like my rose looked awful, and he looked at me like, "Are you gonna figure that out and how to make it look better?" And I was just like, like, I know it was when this whole pandemic started and they were like, "Oh no, in-person classes." I was like, what about everyone who's supposed to do the RKR? Like they're missing out on just such a good time. Like I get like, yeah, they're missing out on the experience. I'm like, but that's like the quintessential part of being a college student was like that class.
I agree.
We ended up doing a restaurant simulation software for that class, which is not the same, but it still gave you kind of all the analytical side of it.
Were they still like in their team working together?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And they learned, the faculty could put in different variables, and then they have to work with, this situation or that situation, and so it's called Knowledge Matters, and they're very well known around the country, and they do restaurant simulation software. So that's what they've been doing last spring, summer, fall, and this semester. And then Food Prep Labs, Chef Reyes did about 45 videos that for food prep, so that the students could go online and they could learn he'd show how to do whatever they were going to do. And then they could, if they had the capability to do it at home, they'd do it at home. So, and then they could videotape themselves and send it back to the chef, and then he could evaluate their skills and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, we did what we could, and it's not the same for sure, but I think it's still, they're still learning the skills they need to learn, it's just, not face to face, not with actual guests, but that's how we did it. That was
I mean, that's still cool that they got to work in their teams and all that. So, I mean, they're kind of getting it. It's just, yeah, they're kind of getting it.
It's all on graphics and, that kind of thing instead of.
Did they make it look like the RKR, like in the simulation?
I think they could customize layouts and things like that. I haven't been in actually to look at the software all the way through, but there was some customization that they could do.
Huh, that's cool. I'm glad they got to do something.
And I don't know if you know this, but now all of our students in the new curriculum must take the RKR class instead of just, hotel, an event. Everybody's got to do RKR, which I think is awesome, because I think everybody should do that. And then they branch out into their specialization areas. Because if you're in the hospitality industry for any length of time, you're going to have to deal with food service, right? You can't get away from that. And it's so you should know how to run a restaurant.
Definitely. I mean, I moved into HR, but I still use my operation skills from the RKR, even like the training stuff. So especially the training stuff that we learned in the RKR, that's like part of what I do. So
that's great.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I think that's great that everyone has to go through. I feel like people who, like some students who like were afraid per se, like of the kitchen, like they would just choose hotels to avoid it. But like I feel like it's just, even if you don't enjoy the cooking, I feel like just getting a feel for understanding how the back of house works, and then having the back of house people understand how the front of house works, like you get a whole different perspective on it.
Well, you can't, even if you're a hotel manager, there are times when you have to jump in the back at your restaurant or catering or whatever, and you might have to help out. So you can't be afraid of it.
Right. Oh yeah, totally.
I was a food and beverage director for Sheraton, and so I had several outlets in the hotel, and we had a hurricane. And so the GM let everybody, all the employees go, but all of the executive staff had to stay and run an entirely full hotel on our own. So I had to cook, I had to bartend, I had to clean rooms, I had to do everything. So, you got to you can't be afraid of being in the kitchen. And so I think it's important that all students have that experience in our RKR, because you never know what you're going to be asked to do.
Exactly. You never know.
Cool.
I think it's funny that like at work, because I'm primarily in the bakery, when I jump in to help at other locations, they're just like, oh my gosh, you can cook. And I'm like, yes, I can. Like I do know how to cook. I also know how to wait tables. Like I know how to do things, guys. Like I just don't make bread. Like that's it.
Well, if you ask anybody now, they'll tell you Dean Dobson can't cook anything, which is true now. I don't, I heat up things, but there was a point in my life when I could actually do that in the back of the house. So I don't tell people that too often because they want me to go in there and make something.
They're like, oh, show me.
So that's when my direction went to finance and accounting. So ask me anything about budgets and numbers and I'm there.
Will, it looks like you're done. Can we see yours? Wait, you're on mute.
Kinda. So I decided to take creative liberty and add some fruits to it.
Yes.
They're on the top. However, on the sides, they keep falling off, so I'm just eating them. So I am going just to re-whip them on, and we'll see where it goes.
Good.
I must say, I am notoriously not a baker, but this is very fun.
I like it.
I'm so glad you're having fun.
And how about you? Can we see yours?
Turned out much better than expected.
Oh, so pretty.
My bar is very low on how well I would do, but I'm actually pretty happy about it. Yeah. So the recipe for the icing was really good. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Those are pretty. They're all different colors.
Yeah, well, I didn't make up enough red is what the problem was. So then I added some white on top, and then it kind of, became from darker pink to lighter pink to mostly white. So
it's like an ombre bouquet.
Yeah. Kind of layered it down there. So yes, thank you. It turned out good.
Awesome.
This is a dumb question. We just throw these away, right? We don't wash them out
Yes.
and use them? Okay.
No, there are ones that you can reuse, but I don't personally like them because if you think about it, your frostings are butter based. And so unless you're getting all up in there with like some degreaser, like I just think they're gross. Like, they're made out of canvas. So they're just kind of gross to me personally.
Awesome. Well, I think that's it, right? Well, I'll see you guys at the next event.
Thank you, everyone.
Great job.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Emma.
It
Thanks,
looks great.
Celine.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.